UFC Fight Night Strickland versus Hernandez is in a couple of weeks, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my quick picks, my quick predictions for this fight night in Houston, Texas. It's a stacked fight night. I think it's a really solid fight night. Great fights from start to finish, really fun scraps. So before we go ahead and get into the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's get it started with the early prelim opener of Juliana Miller versus Carly Judice. Opens up this fight night, a solid WMA scrap. One of my favorite prospects in the flyweight division at the moment. Carly Judice, crispy Carly Judice, is going to be facing Juliana Miller. And in this fight, I think it's clear, it's cut. She's already a huge favorite. I'm going to be going with Carly Judice to win this fight. And I think she's going to win this fight by TKO. Juliana Miller has been finished before, and she's been finished by worse competition. She's been finished by girls like Santos. She got finished by Santos by TKO. I think Carly Judice is a better striker than Santos. I think she can outpiece Juliana Miller through 3 rounds, stuff the takedowns, keep this on the feet, pour the pressure on, and finish her in the second round. I think Carly Judice is such a good prospect in this division. She's got 2 losses in her MMA career, but they're to good competition. I think she's the way better striker by far. It's not even close. It's not even close, and I think Juliana Miller arguably lost her last fight. So give me Carly Judice to win this fight. I think she's going to find a finish here, and I think we're going to get this card started off hot with a Carly Judice TKO in the second round. So give me Carly Judice as the quick pick for this Houston fight night. We move on to Jordan Levitt versus Yadier Del Valle. This is at featherweight. I thought this was at lightweight, but Jordan Levitt is cutting down to featherweight. This is going to be a tough cut for him because he's not necessarily a small lightweight, but he's facing Yadier Del Valle, a guy who's undefeated in the UFC, undefeated in his MMA career, a guy who's coming off of a very controversial win where there was a betting scandal going on. He still won that fight against a great prospect in Isaac Dolgarian, but Dolgarian's been cut since then because it was obviously a betting scandal. The line was flipped minutes before the fight. Yadier Del Valle was a 3-1 underdog, and then minutes before the fight, the odds were even, which is very suspicious. That means a lot of money came in on Yadier Del Valle last minute. But I don't think it changes. I still think Del Valle is the better fighter between the two of these guys. There's going to be grappling exchanges. There's going to be submission attempts in this fight. And I still think Yadier Del Valle is the more physical guy, at least at featherweight. If this was at lightweight, we would be having a different conversation. I think Jordan Levitt at lightweight is much better. I think at featherweight, he's going to struggle with the weight cut. He's going to struggle with a physically demanding Yadier Del Valle. So give me Del Valle to win this fight with another rear naked choke. I think he's going to keep the rear naked choke streak up. We've seen Jordan Levitt get subbed by guys like Paddy Pimblett. And I think Del Valle is a good enough guy on the ground to find a choke in a scramble between Jordan Levitt. So give me Yadier Del Valle to win this fight by submission. I think we're going to see a lot of finishes at the beginning of this fight night. Give me Del Valle by submission as the quick pick. We move on to Austin Vanderford versus Jean-Paul Lebozny. I can't say his name, man. Leboznyani. It's actually not Austin Vanderford. The UFC website sucks. The UFC app sucks. It's actually Phil Rowe. Phil Rowe stepping on short notice to face the prospect in Jean-Paul Leboznyani, who, if you know that name, man, his father was a huge MMA guy, a huge BJJ guy, well known through the MMA community, and I think Jean-Paul Leboznyani is a very good prospect. He got a nasty knockout on Dana White Contender Series with a head kick and then a right hook. It was disgusting. If you haven't seen it, go check that fight out. It was a nasty finish by Jean-Paul Leboznyani, but then he's facing Phil Rowe. I keep getting it mixed up because they got Austin Vanderford here. Come on, lock in UFC website. But Phil Rowe's tough. He's tough. He's durable. He's a tricky opponent for anybody. If you lose, if you make it to the 3rd round, you got to be worried because Phil Rowe in the 3rd round is dangerous. He's got nasty striking. He pushes the pace like crazy. But I do think Jean-Paul Leboznyani is good enough to win this fight, and I'm going to pick him to win this fight against Phil Rowe. He's coming in on short notice. He's fighting a tough opponent in Jean-Paul, who's a very big prospect, a guy at 170 who's got a lot of power, really nasty grappling, and I think he's going to grapple heavy in this fight because we just saw Phil Rowe get absolutely dominated on the ground, 30-27, almost 30-26. If there was more damage from Seokyeon Ko, it would have been a 30-26, but I think Jean-Paul Leboznyani is going to grapple his way to a submission victory. I think he's going to find a submission over Phil Rowe, who's a very lengthy welterweight, a guy who's got long limbs, a guy who you can scramble with and you can find the neck, you could find an armbar, and I think Jean-Paul Leboznyani is actually going to find an armbar submission over Phil Rowe in the 2nd round after a very competitive 1st round. I think Phil Rowe is going to stuff a couple takedowns, it's going to be competitive, and then Jean-Paul is going to get him down, get that back, look for a rear naked choke, and maybe turn it into an armbar. I definitely see an armbar here for Jean-Paul, so give me him as the quick pick. Jean-Paul Leboznyani by submission as the quick pick for this fight. We move on to Nora Cornell versus Jocelyn Edwards. Very good fight. Very good fight. I actually really like this fight. I think Nora Cornell is one of the more dangerous bantamweights, one of the more dangerous WMA fighters. She's got finishes. She's tough. She's durable. She's really tricky to deal with for a lot of these girls, but I do think Joseline Edwards will win this fight. She's a great striker. She just showed that off against Priscilla Cachoeira, and before that, knocked out her opponent before that as well. So she's on a 3-fight win streak by submission and knockout. I think it's all finishes as well. So Joseline Edwards, very entertaining. They could have put her on the London card. I don't know why they didn't, especially against Nora Cornell, a French woman. They should have put this on the London card, but I guess they didn't. They put it in Houston. I'm going to go with Joseline Edwards to win this fight by TKO. I'm going to say she continues her finish streak. I'm calling a lot of finishes at the start of this fight night. I see violence here, and I'm going to say Joseline Edwards gets this fight done by TKO. Very back and forth fight. I think Nora Cornell is very tough, very durable, but Joseline Edwards' pressure and her boxing is levels above Nora Cornell, so I think she's going to be able to mix in a couple takedowns, threaten the takedowns, and that's going to get Nora Cornell to dip her hands down, and Joseline Edwards is going to counter her with those big hooks that she loves to throw. So give me Joseline Edwards to win this fight by TKO in the second or third round. I see a late TKO here for Joseline Edwards. She will be my quick pick in this one. We move on to Alden Correa versus Louis Garul. A really good flyweight fight. Louis Garul obviously was undefeated coming into the UFC. He's coming off back-to-back losses. He got knocked out by Ode Osborne, man. Absolutely fraud checked. And then just lost to, what's his name? Oh my goodness, I forget his name. The Mexican guy. Is it Jose? I'm not going to try and make up a name. It's Louis Garul lost to the Mexican guy in Mexico City. He just got pieced up for 3 rounds. It was close. It was decently competitive. He's got good boxing, but a very short reach. You look at his reach. He's got really short arms. 162 centimeter reach. At flyweight, very, very short, very stocky. Alden Correa just coming off a big win. A big win over Costa. Big knockout win, TKO win. He beat down on his legs and had him chopped up and then just TKO'd him in the second or third round. Really good win for Alden Correa. He came in on short notice, big underdog, got the TKO. He's now in the UFC. He's the much younger fighter. I'm going to go with Alden Correa to win this fight by TKO as well. I think he's going to finish Louis Garul, whose chin is very open to be countered. He's very small, very stocky, like I said. So I think Alden Correa is going to be able to play the range, play the distance, and he's going to be able to close in and just connect with a nice combination. So I'm going to go with Alden Correa. TKO up against the fence. Louis Garul backed up against the fence is just going to be getting ripped body shots too, head shots. I think Alden Correa is going to mix this up very nicely. He trains with really good high-level competition, so I'm going to go with Alden Correa to win this fight by TKO. Late TKO as well. I think Alden Correa can get this one done, so he'll be my quick pick. We move on to Ode Osborne, the guy who finished Louis Garul against Alibi Idris. I'm going to be going with Ode Osborne. All right, this is a classic Ode Osborne fraud check in the making, okay? Alibi Idris coming off that loss to the 6'7" guy. I forget his name. Oh, my God, Morales. He's coming off that loss to Morales. He got subbed in the first or second round, or was it at the end of the fight? I forget, but Alibi Idris coming off that submission loss in the tough final. He's now facing Ode Osborne, a grizzled vet, a guy who, if you go in there unprepared against, you're going to get TKO'd. You're going to get finished. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think Ode Osborne is going to catch Alibi Idris coming in, shooting for a takedown, looking sloppy, and I think Ode Osborne is going to put him down bad. Look at the size difference. Look at the freaking size and reach difference. Ode Osborne is a massive flyweight. He abuses the flyweight limit. He's huge. He's got a long reach. He's powerful. He almost just knocked out Steve Erceg on short notice. I think Ode Osborne is going to finish Alibi Idris. Don't look at his record and overlook Ode Osborne. I think Alibi Idris is a decent prospect. His wrestling is good. If he can get Ode Osborne down, he'll have a chance to win. He'll even have a chance to find a submission. But I do think Ode Osborne is just going to be smacking him with big shots in the pocket. And I think he's going to finish Alibi Idris by knockout in the first round. I think we're going to see Idris come out here, look for a takedown, just be shooting for a double leg and not be careful for what's coming back his way, because Ode Osborne has nasty power, flying knees, big uppercuts, big overhand rights, big power. He almost knocked out Steve Erceg in the first round, almost knocked him out in the second. So I think Ode Osborne will win this fight by knockout early on in the fight as well. I think he'll clip Alibi Idris, get him on Bambi legs, and then finish him in the first round. So give me Ode Osborne as the quick pick. We move on to the main prelim. Chidi Njokuani versus Carlos Leal. We got another prelim to talk about that they haven't put on the UFC website yet. Of course they haven't. Fuck UFC. You got to lock in, gang. But Chidi Njokuani versus Carlos Leal, a great fight. Guaranteed finish, in my opinion. I think Chidi Njokuani is one of those guys that frustrates me one of the most because I see the potential. He's got great front kicks. front kicks, great teep kicks, really, really clean striking, nice knees up the middle. He's very dangerous, but he gasses out very early and very easily. And I think Carlos Leal, being the roid monster that he is, I think he's just going to push Chidi Njokuani around. I think he's going to bully him a little bit. As long as Carlos Leal doesn't get clipped with a knee, like I said, or get clipped with a teep kick right to the liver, I think Carlos Leal wins this fight. And I think he wins this fight by round 2 TKO. I think this is going to be a back and forth scrap, a very close fight early on. But in the second round, I think Carlos Leal is going to pour it on Chidi Njokuani when he's tired, when he's gassed out. I think we're going to see a Carlos Leal TKO in the second round. I think there's going to be a lot of finishes on this early prelim, like I said, and we're going to move on to the final prelim that they haven't put on the UFC website, of course. That's going to be Ramiz Brahimaj versus Punali Soriano. My boy Ramiz Brahimaj, you guys know, if you guys been watching the channel, you know I'm a high believer in Ramiz Brahimaj. I think the dude has high level ceiling. Don't even look at his record. I think he's 13-5, maybe 14-5 now. The dude is on a huge win streak, 3 to 4 fight win streak, coming off back-to-back submissions, brutal submission over Austin Vanderford, who was supposed to fight on this card, and then a brutal submission over Billy Ray Goff as huge underdogs in back-to-back fights, and I picked him in both fights to finish his opponent by guillotine. And Ramiz Brahimaj is going to get this one done. I think he's going to beat Punali Soriano, and I think he's going to finish Punali Soriano, who we just saw go to a close decision with Varetnikov in a boring slop decision where Punali was just grappling and was absolutely gassed, but Varetnikov couldn't do shit. He couldn't do anything. But the difference is Ramiz Brahimaj will always be looking for something. He'll be always searching for that guillotine, and he's going to hit it on Punali Soriano. I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry to say it. If you're picking Punali, you're going to regret it, because Ramiz Brahimaj is going to show a good level of competition where the point is Ramiz Brahimaj is going to find a submission. He's going to find the guillotine at some point. Ramiz is going to be ducking the takedowns. He's going to be moving. He's going to be swerving. He's going to be moving. I'm just glazing the fuck out of him. I'm not going to lie. I'm glazing the shit out of Ramiz, but I think he's going to win this fight. I think he's going to win this fight by guillotine. I think Punali Soriano is going to shoot in takedowns like crazy. I think he's going to not want to strike with Ramiz, who is a very underrated striker. He landed that big head kick on Austin Vanderford, cut his forehead open, had him bleeding like crazy. Then Austin started panic shooting and got guillotined. And I see the same scenario happening here. Maybe Ramiz won't land a head kick, but I think he's going to land some sharp shots on the feet, big hooks. He's going to catch Punali. Punali's not going to like it. He's going to shoot for takedowns, and I think we're going to see a Ramiz Brahimaj guillotine choke. He's got the best guillotine in the game. Him and Charles Jourdain got the best guillotine in the game. Give me Ramiz Brahimaj by guillotine as the quick pick. Seriously, I think he's getting it done by guillotine. I'm literally going to predict the guillotine. Give me Ramiz Brahimaj. I'm not overthinking it. We move on to the main card of this fight night, where we open it up with Michel Pereira versus Zachary Reese. And Michel Pereira frustrates me. This guy frustrates me like crazy because he was on such a long win streak, dominant, doing backflips on people, uppercuts, standing rear naked chokes, the nastiest shit you've ever seen. And then he fights Anthony Hernandez, the guy in the main event, and gets absolutely mollywopped. And since then, he hasn't looked the same. He lost the decision to Abus Magomedov, where he was just absolutely gassed. And then he got finished by Kyle Dawkins, all right, in the first round in Shanghai. That was absolutely terrible. So I'm going to go with Zachary Reese. I'm not buying any more stock in Michel Pereira. I don't even care that he's the favorite. I'm going with Zachary Reese as an underdog. And I think Zachary Reese is going to get this one done, man. Even though Zachary Reese is a very low-level comp, and give it like a year or two ago, I would have been like Michel Pereira all day. He should be minus 1,000. Now it's like, I can't trust Michel Pereira. So I'm going to go with Zachary Reese to win this fight, and I'm going to say he wins it by boring decision. Because Michel Pereira we've seen him gas the fuck out. He gasses after round 1 every single fight, and I don't think this will be any different. I think Zachary Reese is dangerous. He could finish Pereira, but I don't see him finishing him. I think Pereira's tough. He's durable. You know, he's going to eat some front kicks. He's going to eat some head kicks. I think Zachary Reese is going to outpoint him for 3 rounds. So give me Zachary Reese as the quick pick by decision. I'm not buying Michel Pereira anymore. I think he should win this fight, but I just can't trust him. So give me Zachary Reese to win this fight by decision. We move on. Jacoby Smith versus Seok Ko. This is a great fight. I'm sorry for butchering your name, Ko. This is a very good fight with 2 very high-level prospects that the odds are absolutely even, and I think they should be. I think this is a completely even fight where you're gonna pick a side. Everybody's gonna have a clear side, and I don't have one. I'm not gonna lie. I'm fence-sitting this one. I'm gonna slightly lean with Jacoby Smith because I think his wrestling is good enough to defend the takedowns from Seok Ko, to reverse the positions, but I do think Seok Ko could absolutely pressure the shit out of Jacoby Smith and just walk him down with no care in the world, like he did against Obon Elliott, like he did against Phil Rowe, and he could get himself a decision win here. But I do think Jacoby Smith is going to be able to reverse position, and I do think he's going to knock out Seok Ko with a big overhand right. I think Jacoby Smith's striking is better than Ko's. I think we've seen Ko get chinned before, and I think Jacoby Smith can do that. It's just going to be a very tough task. I'm going to buy in to the hype of Jacoby Smith here, even though I do believe that Seok Ko could win this fight. And like I said, picks are not bets. If you know me, picks are not bets. I'm picking Jacoby Smith. But I may bet Seok Ko. I may bet the plus 3.5. We'll see what happens. If you want all my bets for this fight night, comment YAP, and I will send you over a link. All right, check out my winnable YAP MMA. You can get all my bets there. And for a free week, you can use code YAP to get all my free bets for this fight night, for future events, for everything. Go check out my winnable YAP MMA, boys. But we're going to get back to it. I'm going with Jacoby Smith as the quick pick. I'm going to say he gets it done by knockout. We've seen Ko get hurt before, and I think Jacoby Smith has big, underrated power in the hands. He just beat Nico Price. Obviously, Nico Price ain't the best competition, but made it look fairly easy. He got tired, and I do think that could be something Ko could take advantage of, just grappling him up, tiring him down. But I'm going to say Jacoby Smith gets a round 1 knockout just based off of the pressure of Seok Ko trying to walk him down. He's going to get clipped with something, so give me Jacoby Smith to get this one done by round 1 knockout. We move on. Sergey Spivak versus Ante Dalia, a great heavyweight fight in my opinion. A very competitive heavyweight fight and a tricky one to pick. This one's another one I'm kind of fence sitting, one that I don't think I'm going to be betting on, but I'm going to go with Ante Dalia to win this fight. I do think he's got a very high potential, a very high ceiling. He looked great against Marcin Tybura. Oh, Marcin Tybura, he's a great fighter, But obviously, it's Marcin Tybura. It's not the best competition, but he chinned him easy. He made it look easy. That's how you're supposed to do it against Tybura. He arguably won that fight against Waldo Cortez Acosta, and they should have just made it a no contest, but they put him back in there after an adrenaline dump, and he got chinned. But Sergey Spivak's not going to do that to you. Ante Dalia is the way better striker. His takedown defense is going to be enough in this fight. And I think he's going to chin Sergey Spivak in the 2nd or 3rd round. It's going to be a bit of a slop early. I think Sergey's going to be looking for takedowns. But I think Ante Dalia is going to stuff them, keep it on the feet. There's going to be a lot of boring clinching early. But I think Ante Dalia is eventually going to piece up a combination, put down Sergey Spivak, and finish him on the ground. So give me Ante Dalia as the quick pick by knockout. Round 2, round 3. It's going to be sloppy. I don't expect this fight to be high-level heavyweight stuff. We never see high-level heavyweight fights, like Jailton Almeida and fucking Rizvan Guniev. We're not going to talk about that one, but I'm going to go with Ante Dalia to get this one done by knockout in the 2nd or 3rd round as the quick pick. We move on. Dan Ige versus Melquizael Costa. My boy Melky Costa's getting that chance at top 15. Thank God. He's on a huge win streak. Just chin the absolute shit out of Morgan Charrier in the Apex with a big head kick in round 1. Didn't expect that. I picked him to beat Morgan Charrier, probably by submission, but that head kick was just unreal. Unreal, and he deserves this fight against Dan Ige. Dan Ige is the grizzled vet. He holds and locks down the top 15. This guy is a absolute gatekeeper. He shut down that tall, lengthy dude. I forget his name. And then he just got smudged by Pitbull for 3 rounds and looked like shit. But I think Costa's going to win this fight. Obviously, I'm picking Costa. This is a biased pick, but I do think he is a very, very good prospect. And I think Melquizael Costa, having lost to Steve Garcia, having lost to the other guy before that, I forget his name. Oh my God, I'm trying to remember his name. But Melk's lost a couple fights. But since then, he's just looked amazing. He's grown. He's developed. He's built himself bigger at featherweight. He's looked really good at featherweight. I think he's going to continue that streak, and I think he's going to beat Dan Ige by very competitive decision, but a clear decision. I think he's going to win round 1 and round 3. So give me Melquizael Costa to win this fight by decision. Dan Ige is very tough. I think he'll stay tough. And, he's always going to be a top 15 vet. But I do think Melquizael Costa is on a forward motion train. And I think that train's going to keep going. I love the experience from Costa. He's got more experience than Dan Ige. And I like that in this fight. So give me Costa to win this fight by decision. Close 29-28. But I think he'll get it done. So give me Costa as the quick pick. Then we move on to the co-main, which is obviously not on the UFC website because they just don't give a shit about us. Jeff Neal versus Uros Medic. Very good co-main event. I'm really excited for this one. This is a scrap through and through, and I think this is a very competitive fight. It's a fight where I think a lot of people are going to be like, Jeff Neal is the clear winner here. He's the top 15 guy. He's the, prime Jeff Neal is going to come back. But I'm going with Uros Medic. I'm not overthinking it. Uros Medic is the faster, more powerful, more dynamic striker. He's going to be swerving in and out. I love his karate stance. I love the head kicks that he throws up. And just because he's an Apex Warrior that gets robbed of performance bonuses doesn't mean shit. I think he's way better than Jeff Neal. I think his power is much more than Jeff Neal. I think his speed is way better than Jeff Neal's. I think the distance management from Uros Medic is going to be something clean, sharp, and I think he's going to piece up Jeff Neal and finish him in the first round, like he's done to every single one of his opponents. Every time he wins by first round finish. He only loses to grapplers. He literally only loses to grapplers, all right? Grapplers and guys who have big power who can blitz in, but Jeff Neal is not that guy. He's not that guy. He's a clean boxer who likes a close distance fight where he can stay nice in boxing distance, piece you up with the 1-2, piece you up with the right, left hooks, but Uros Medic ain't going to be there for those shots. He's going to be blitzing in and out. He's going to be throwing head kicks. And I think he's going to catch Jeff Neal with a brutal 1-2 down the pipe, put him down in the first round, and finish him. Uros Medic just chinned the old, what's his name? Oh my God, what's his name? Oh, I'm so bad with names today, boys. He just chinned that old Russian guy who's on a big win streak by knockout, knocked out Carlos Leal, but I think Uros Medic is very underrated, and I picked him to win that fight, and I bet on him by first round finish, all right? So Uros Medic is going to be the pick. He's probably going to be a bet. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the line is, but give me Uros Medic to win this fight by knockout round 1, straight 1-2 down the pipe. The head kick's going to be there. The teeps are going to be there as well, the body kicks. I think the distance management is going to be a huge factor in this, and I just don't like Jeff Neal's odds at getting his boxing going against a very long, lengthy striker at welterweight in Uros Medic, who's going to be taller, longer reach, more distance between the two of them. I think Uros is going to be blitzing in and out, 1-2, head kick, body kick. He's going to be mixing up very nice. So give me Uros Medic by round 1 knockout, clean, clear. We just saw Jeff Neal get knocked out for the first time, and I think it's a decline of Jeff Neal's career now. So give me Uros Medic to win this fight, crack the top 15, and get a finish over Jeff Neal. We move on to the main event, Sean Strickland versus Anthony Hernandez, banger main event in Houston. They were supposed to run it in Perth or in Australia. Obviously, they didn't want to deal with all the fines, all the taxes in Australia. So like, yo, let's meet in Houston. Let's do it in Houston. I love it. It's a great main event. Very good for the Houston fans here. And I think this is going to be a very competitive decision. I'm going to come out with a big breakdown video this week of this fight specifically. But early pick, I'm going to go with Anthony Hernandez. I'm not going to overthink this one, all right? I'm going to buy into the Anthony Hernandez hype. I was supposed to watch Anthony Hernandez versus Reinier de Ridder live in Vancouver. And now, thinking back on that fight and thinking about how Allen did Reinier de Ridder, I think Anthony Hernandez would have absolutely mogged and walked down Reinier de Ridder with no fear in his world. I don't think he would have cared a single shit about anything coming back his way. And I think he's going to win against Sean Strickland in a close, competitive 48-47 decision. I think Anthony Hernandez is going to look very good early on. Sean Strickland will come back in. He's always in a close fight. We never see Sean Strickland get finished. We never see him in a very tricky spot. He's going to be there jabbing and teeping for 25 minutes, and he's going to be confused why he lost the fight. But I'm going to go with Anthony Hernandez to win this fight, win the minutes, clinch up, get him down, take his back, threaten a couple rear naked chokes. I don't think he's going to sub or finish Sean Strickland, but I do believe he's just going to do the more work and just be there with the cardio. He's literally the middleweight Marab, all right? So give me Anthony Hernandez to win this fight by decision, 48-47, competitive fight. Like I said, I'm going to come in with a full breakdown of this fight this week, so stay tuned for that one. But that's the entire video, boys. If you guys did enjoy the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop it down in the comments who you guys are picking in this main event, and I will catch you guys in the next video. See you.